All right, Brooke, thank you so very much. With that, let us bring in former Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Matt, you have been in charge of the DOJ. You have presumably filed affidavits in cases. Should the DOJ release the affidavit?
Good morning. And typically in a case, a typical case, you wouldn't release the affidavit until charges are filed or ultimately your investigation is complete. In this case, I think it's different. And obviously, Merrick Garland took weeks to decide to execute this search warrant. And I think, one of his considerations had to have been how it was going to play in, with the American people. And in this case, this affidavit needs to be released. I mean, this investigation obviously has run its course. They've obtained the documents. There are no further steps that I can imagine they're going to take based on the crimes that they allege to be investigating. So based on everything I know about this case, it is time to release this affidavit in an abundance of a desire for transparency and making sure that the American people understand what the government is doing in their name.
The FBI says there has been an increase in violent threats against agents, and former President Trump spoke to Fox News Digital, said it's time to ease tensions after this Mar-a-Lago raid. He said, "I will do whatever I can to help the country. People are so angry at what is taking place. The temperature has to be brought down in this country. If it isn't, terrible things are going to happen." Later in the interview, though, he also said that FBI agents could have planted evidence in his house. So is this mixed messages coming from the former president? How do you feel about those statements?
Well, Carly, I feel really that the president is absolutely right, that the temperature needs to be lowered. Obviously, threats against law enforcement of any kind are not acceptable. Political violence is never acceptable. And so saying that, we need a country where the rule of law is applied evenly and consistently to everyone, no matter whether you're an ordinary citizen or whether you're Donald J. Trump, the former president of the United States. And so in this particular case, obviously the Department of Justice and the FBI needs to take steps themselves to lower the temperature. And that, a lot of that is transparency, answering these questions, talking about investigations like this, why for the first time in our America's history, a search warrant was executed on a former president of the United States. And once I think that happens, then I think we will have the temperature lowered. But until then, the ball's really in DOJ's court.
Meantime, former FBI agent Peter Strzok, remember him, fired for his anti-Trump bias, is defending the agency. Take a listen.
Absolutely, the American public should trust what the FBI is doing. It's not that the FBI is targeting any one side or the other. What you see is the FBI going out on a day-in, day-out basis, objectively investigating allegations of law.
In case you've forgotten, let's pop up this text exchange between Strzok and his lover, a fellow FBI agent named Lisa Page. This is from 2016. Page saying, quote, "Trump's not ever going to become president, right?" To which Strzok replied, quote, "No, he won't. We'll stop it." So breathe easy, America. Peter Strzok has weighed in, told you nothing to see here. Your take, Matt.
Well, I think this is a red herring. I mean, when he pops up and tries to assure us that there's no political influence at the FBI, I think we should be a little worried because, he is the guy that led an investigation into the President of the United States when there was no predication and there was no evidence that Donald Trump and his campaign had any relationship with Russian government. And in this case, that we have this search warrant executed on, Peter Strzok is really giving away the goods, which is there are some at the FBI that believe that Donald Trump is a criminal. And so they're going to pursue this case as much as they possibly can. And that it's that bias and that desire to get Trump no matter what that has really colored, I think, a lot of the last 6 years at the FBI. And until they're willing to do their work above board without any political influence whatsoever, we're going to have troubles like we have right now in this case.
Yeah, you just have to wonder how we got here with the FBI, an agency that should be absolutely non-biased. Now, a lot of people see it as the, defense arm, the acting arm of the Democratic Party. Matt Whitaker, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you both.